Hello and welcome everybody to 3D Printing and Painting live stream, 3D HP. I've got a very special guest today. Chris Riley from Chris's Basement is here, and I'd like him to bring him in, and we're going to ask him a lot of cool questions. Hey Chris, how you doing?
Hey Jerry, doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on my stream. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad we could finally find a slot where I could fit this in.
Yeah. Yeah, you're one of 3 people that out of the whole entire planet that I watch to learn things. So anyway,
I always like to hear that, and I always appreciate it because it's still kind of hard for me to believe that people watch my YouTube videos, but I'm always glad to hear that people do.
Let's see. Let me welcome a few people in chat. Michael Castle was the first one about 35 minutes early. Hello, Michael. Luke L3D. Dan is here. Let's see. Paul McDonald. Robert Reynolds, Brian, BB3D. Hello, Brian. Zolan. Hello, Zolan. Betty Boot 45 is here. Anyway, welcome everybody for joining. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to have Chris on today to talk to him a little bit about behind the scenes and what he has to do other than his videos, things he's interested in. And I'd like to start off, if I could, with the first question, if that's all right.
Yep, go for it.
Number one. What got you interested into 3D printing and about when?
Yeah. I sent you some photos. I don't know. Hopefully you got some of them. But so people have probably heard this story a million times because I've been on these interviews before. But it was sometime in 2016. And my buddy, who was also on YouTube at one time, he doesn't do much anymore, but his name's Colin. He had a channel called Colin Makes Stuff. And he had a 3D printer. He had a Dremel printer of some kind. And he was really wanting me to get interested in it. And I've always worked on a lot of projects and had different things going on. And I was knee deep in something else at that time. So I just kept waving him. I've known him all my life. And I just kept waving him off like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm working on something else. And then finally I had this part that I needed to create. And I really wasn't quite sure how to get it done. So I thought, hey, Colin says he's got a 3D printer. So I kind of knew CAD and drafting from high school. So I drew it, which was then 1-2-3 Design or something like that from Autodesk. I drew something up. I sent it over to him, and he printed it out. And it never actually worked, if I remember that project correctly. But after I got to hold the CAD model in my hand, then I was kind of hooked. So then Colin and I decided to buy the same 3D printer kit. And we were going to, my wife was going out of town. So then we were going to spend the whole weekend putting together the same printer. And it took like, 13 hours of straight build time. And it was one of these $250 G-Tech kits, acrylic i3 kits. And then the rest is history. Then you start, printing parts on your printer for your printer, and it just spiraled from there. And I got on YouTube about a year after that, probably I was already on YouTube doing other things. I've been on YouTube since like 2012. But I was already doing other things, but then I was like, oh, well, we might as well do 3D printing content as well. And years later, now I'm here. So that was it.
Wow. I got a few pictures here I'd like to pull up. Here's one here that is everybody's favorite.
That's right. I am an avid Benchy addict. I'm kind of known for that at this point. I really didn't intend to be known for that, but but I am now, so that's good enough.
How many Benchies do you think you printed?
In the thousands, I would guess.
Oh wow.
Some I've probably had 50 some odd 3D printers at this point, and some problems or some issues with the printer. The only way that you can figure it out is just trying it at some time, especially when you're learning. I wasn't an expert when I started. So chasing down one issue, I might print 10, 15 Benchies. So it really starts to add up over time.
Yeah, I've done one Benchy, and it took me about 3 years to do it. For some reason, I just didn't want to print a Benchy. Yep. But didn't 3D Print Llama just make you something really cool, a little Pez Benchy?
He did, and I have that. You probably can't see it too well on the camera, but it is a Pez dispenser that has a Benchy on top. And when you get the Pez out, it rides the waves. And Tom, this is one of the coolest things I've ever had, actually. And Tom makes me all sorts of cool stuff. I've known Tom for several years, but he also made me my own personalized Husky razor knife that I use all the time. It has my logo on it. You can't see it very well. But yeah, nice. Tom's always making something crafty for me.
Let's see. Let's pull up another picture here. Some goodies.
Yes.
Joseph.
That's right. And I actually have one more of those. I don't know why it wasn't in that picture at that time. Maybe this picture's too old. But I have my prized Mini Joes. I really like printing the multicolored Mini Joes. I really don't know why. I think they're hysterical. But there's like a Santa Claus one, too, and one where he's riding on a sheep. But those are some of my favorite prints of all time.
Wow. Really cool. Let me go to my comments real quick. Corey Mack. Hello, Corey Mack. Yeah, when I finally did eventually after about 3 years, I just procrastinated. I printed the cat, and it completed. His head wasn't cut off, and there's just a lot of things I haven't printed. But obviously, if you look behind me, I printed way too much stuff. And people have always asked me, or I get asked quite a bit, do you ever do practical prints? Well, my hypercube here, when I built it, those were practical prints, all the corners and everything for the hypercube out of PETG. And what else did I do as a practical print? Oh, yeah, all my Pets things on all my printers. On most of my printers from David Petzel over off Thingiverse, he gave me he didn't give me, I downloaded a bunch of different Pets things, B2, that I have on a lot of my Enders and my CR10s. That came out really nice. And those were out of ABS, that I printed those out of.
Yep.
And let's see. There's a Mini Chris I printed on the TiVo Tarantula Pro. Came out really nice. And he was printed just like that with no supports. It's on PEI on a flex sheet, and it printed great. So that's something I really like.
Those are pretty funny. I like those.
Yeah, I got him right here. Little Mini Chris. And then little Mini Chris can talk to little Mini Joel. They can have a conversation. So I got both of them. So that was pretty cool. And let's see, what do we have here? Oh, that's cool.
There you go. So this is probably one of the largest projects that I've ever done. Well, I don't know about largest, but from beginning to end, it took months and months to do. But this was when I was really into hang printing. And if you don't know what a hang printer is, maybe for people in the chat, it's pretty much a Delta printer that is supported by fishing line. So basically, you can make it as large as the room is. It does have a defined envelope like any other Delta. So it kind of does a base motion like any Delta does. But you can print really large things or semi-large things, and that's where that bar stool was printed. It was printed over a period of 14 days on a hang printer version 3. And that is the largest one-go print that I've ever done.
What kind of infill did you have in that, if you remember?
It was pretty limited, actually. I want to say, because I did 0.8 layers, so they were pretty tall layers, and I want to say it was right around 25%. It wasn't super dense, but it had 4 perimeters. So by the time it was done, it was really solid. The problem was the hang printer is not a science by any means. There's a bit of trickery that goes along with it because you kind of have to reset it as it does its thing. And it's complicated and it doesn't work 100%. But I had a layer shift and I couldn't stop then. I just kind of had to roll with it. So the bottom legs actually were stepped out just a bit, and that eventually was its demise. So it did finally give out and just rupture into pieces. But I really think if I could have stacked those bottom portions a little better, if they would have been lined up, it would have lasted a lot longer. But, it's all an experiment. So.
Yeah, I've had quite a few layer shifts. It'll continue printing, and then I cut it with a razor knife, re-glue it together, do a little putty work. And then if it's a total failure, I'll take the model into NetFab, because that's what I'm familiar with. And I'll cut it roughly the same height, reprint that, and then glue it together. And I never get it exact, so I just do a little sanding here or there. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I on that one, it had foot rungs, and the hang printer doesn't move real fast, and those were large beads of plastic. So I kind of had it built in that you could do a couple that would droop, and then eventually it would kind of catch
I
up.
don't mean to interrupt, but we have a really super special guest that just popped into chat, or he popped into the stream. I'd like to bring him on. He's been wanting to meet you. He loves your work, and I'm sure you love his work. So let me bring him in.
All right.
Michael from Teaching Tech. How you doing?
Well, thank you. Well, thank you, Jerry. Thank you for having me. And hello, Chris.
Hello,
Michael.
Awesome
how you
to
doing?
have you here.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we have never had the chance to speak to one another, but I appreciate this opportunity, Jerry. And the Australia folks, I've talked to Angus a little bit here and there, but they're always really hard for me to catch, different time zones and things. But I appreciate you coming in. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, you too. I'm a fan of your work, and I followed some of your guides in my time to get some things done. So you've rescued me, and I appreciate it. And yeah, I really respect what you do. I think our channels are similar in some ways. So yeah, just feel a connection. Doesn't really make sense, but you know what I mean.
I totally understand. And you've had great success too. I applaud you for that. YouTube is a hard thing to do, but you've really taken off, and I admire you for that. I don't know how many years you've been doing it, but it's taken a long time just to get to 30,000 or whatever I'm at now. So, but you've done really well. So great job.
Thank you. I think you're probably the most underrated channel out there. Like, I don't really understand why you've only got 30,000. Not to diminish it, like you said, it's really hard to get to 30,000, but hopefully the channel grows for you in the future.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes it's the luck of the YouTube, and we'll get there eventually. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really awesome having you on. I know you were on my channel, Michael, back in January, and then I quit streaming for quite a bit. And since then, I've been popping in and out of hangouts. Different guys have during the week, Friday night hangouts. DB3 Dan has a hangout, Justin T's hangout, and just different places here and there. But it's great having you on. What have you been up to lately?
I've been working all week on doing a website, which I've wanted to do for a while, but this one is specifically related to 3D printer calibration. And it was an idea from my patrons, and I'm hoping it's a bit of a game changer. It's like quite different and user-friendly compared to the type of way that people normally do calibration, like temp towers and retraction towers and all of that. It's going to make that like a 10-second job to generate custom G-code. So that'll be out in a couple of days, and put a lot of work into it. So
everybody can go to, or only your Patreons?
Yes. No, it's free. Free website. Anyone can go to it.
If you
it's
send me
all
a link
step by
when it's
step.
up and running, I'll put it in the description below so people can come back that are seeing this now or watching this later, and they can go there. So,
yeah, we'll do that. Awesome. It's I got to finish the last 2 tabs out of about 10 tabs today of all the stages of calibration, and the video will be out Saturday morning my time, so I assume that means Friday evening over in the States.
Yeah, right now it's 4:12 p.m. here in Vegas, and Chris, I think you're 3 hours later, right?
Yeah, I'm in Central, so it's 6 something here. Yep.
Okay, 2 hours. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Question number 2, Chris. How many printers do you think you have owned, and do you have a favorite?
Yeah, that's always a really tough question because it's a fluid cycle. So I get a handful, and I'll donate a handful or whatever. And some of them never see the light of day. So I've got scrap piles set in places. But I would say probably right now I'm somewhere around the 50 mark, I would guess. And favorite is always a tough question for me because I print things that I find entertaining, of course, like everyone else does. But most of the time, because of the YouTube content, I'm printing stuff to get content out or to test something physical, like hardware or something like that. So really, my favorite printers are the ones that just work. I do like to mess with things, and that's fun. Fun once in a while, but I do it kind of as a side job. So it's less fun now than it used to be. But I like the ones that work, and I've got a handful of Prusa machines, and outside of a little bit of maintenance here and there, they always work. They turn out a decent print, and they don't give me any complaints. So those are really my favorite machines to use. I've got Mark IIs and Mark IIIs and a Mini that I still use for all my projects, and they just work. So I always say that.
Michael, if I could ask you the same question, about how many printers have you owned, and do you have a favorite?
I think in and out, maybe about 40 odd these days. I had a few before I started the channel, But obviously, getting review units, they come in and out a lot faster. Like Chris tried to donate them. I did a video a little while ago following up on long-term reviews and explaining where a lot of them went. But they still tend to build up. But I try to donate them to schools and friends and things like that. I also want to agree with Chris on going to printers that just work. Like, I love modifying printers. It's a hobby, but it's when it's on my terms. I want to do it because I'm excited about fitting some new part that's innovative, not because the printer's broken and needs fixing. That's really frustrating and it really kills time. So, yeah, my Prusa Mark III also been very reliable. My Ender 3, I know like the back of my hand. I've pulled it apart and fitted new parts so many times making videos, but it's very reliable and maybe my quietest printer. In terms of novelty, I like Core XYs, so Second SK Go. I enjoy working on that. And the Ender 3, I did the Core XY conversion to a little while ago. That's been in a few videos recently, getting the mixing hot end and things like that. That one's fun as well. They're both like novelty printers where I try out interesting things on. So enjoyable to tinker with rather than fixing broken things.
And Chris, do you have a favorite print, or have you had many favorite prints? That's why you printed them.
Yeah, that favorite print is always really hard. And like I said, I would say like 2019 was the year of multicolor. I mean, it seems like everybody had a multicolor unit, and there was some really cool prints that came out of that. But that's where the Mini Joes came from. You know, we were testing multicolor prints, and you know, some of them have layer shifts in them and stuff. You can see how hard it was to get some of those up and running. But those are some of my favorites. Finally, when they turned out after 45 hours of swapping out filament or whatever, and you finally got a decent print. Those are some of my favorites.
And Michael, do you have a favorite print, do you think?
Most of the printing I do for myself, it's not for the channel, is like functional, boring things like brackets and mounts for custom things like that, to mount a tablet on a frame or, you know, whatever else. So they tend to be one-offs. I think, you know, most people include 3D benchies because they are good at showing a range of potential defects. I'd really like to, either me or someone else, design a replacement for the benchy that the more you print, the more useful they are. So they're modular and clip together, so they build up over time, so you're not just wasting them or ending up with a flotilla of boats that you don't need.
I would like to give the next question to Michael, because I know you're on a time constraint and you can't be here too long. Do you have any teasers of upcoming projects you're working on, Michael? Things you haven't put out yet?
The list is always long. I'll be doing a video soon where I 3D print parts for inside the engine bay of a car, which I know people do parts for the, you know, mounts for the interior of a car, but I've got some filament which should stand up to the temperature and still be easy to print, I hope. So that'll be coming in the future. Some things that I've tested that at the moment I'm not allowed to make videos about, but hopefully will be in the future. Some things about resin printing and some innovations coming there. Drawing a blank, but I'm also doing an open source machine that nobody wants except me, but hopefully the novelty will be entertaining for viewers anyway. But yeah, it's just something I've wanted to build for a long time. And on the odd chance someone else is interested in building the same type of machine, it will be open source and they can follow along.
All right. Chris, would you have any teasers on upcoming projects possibly?
Well, actually, so at the beginning, so I take 6 weeks off usually every summer of YouTube. And usually at the beginning, when I come back, I try to do something that's somewhat entertaining. And Robbie Mack just called it. I did spray cheese on a 3D printer last year for coming back. So that was my big project. And it was just fun, you know, just something to do. This year, I actually ran out of time coming up to July. So I have so much in the backlog, like board testing and, you know, new kits and stuff like that, reviews and things that I still have to get around to testing and making videos on. There is some really interesting stuff coming up, like the big brain multicolor swap, where it makes a little bead of plastic instead of, you know, making a block. That's a pretty cool thing. So there's a lot of stuff coming up, but it's just kind of more of the same, just more testing and more, you know, trial and error to see what's good and what's not. So.
This is an interesting comment from Luke. Wham Bam has a flex plate for resin printers. Yeah, I always use a plastic scraper. I don't use a metal one. I don't want to damage the aluminum, but I usually get them off, but I'm hitting it fairly hard, and then I knock it into the wash station, and then I'm trying not to hopefully splash back onto my resin printer that's right next to it, but that'd be cool.
Yep. Yeah, I hate taking the support off resin prints. I understand positioning them on the angle is to like keep the cross section even and make sure it can trickle off and all of that. But I still prefer to position like an FDM print and just have a flat base on the bottom. But then, like you say, it's really hard to get off. So a system like that hopefully will make a big difference because you don't have that compromise. You're not going to damage it.
Here's a Robocop I printed yesterday from Sanix, Sergio Malik over on Sanix's website. It's about 1/8 scale. It's about, I think, 4.5 inches tall, a little smaller than a soda can. And it was oriented like this on the build plate. And because of the Elegoo Mars, I couldn't go to the full height of the Mars circ. I couldn't go all the way up. If I would have left it flat, I could have went a lot taller, but then I'm going to have support damage on the front of the model. And I didn't want support damage. So I kicked it back. And because of the angle of it, I could only go so high. But on my Hypercube, you guys can probably hear the noise in the background, the printer running. I'm printing this at 250% in PETG right now. I'm going to make it a lot bigger. And then I may make one bigger on the Mars. I wish I had a bigger resin printer, but in the future, when I get the money, I'd like to move to the Saturn and go from there. I can't afford the $2,000 one, but I can go to a Saturn. That'd be within my budget.
I think it's good. There's a lot more monochrome ones coming in, so it's going to be a lot faster for resin printing. At the moment, Sorry. I was going to say, hopefully the screen lasts a long time and they don't go out through. They get expensive when you get bigger. And one good thing is manufacturers are starting to list the screen for sale on their website, so you at least know up front how much it's going to cost you if it does go. Whereas a lot of the early resin printers, like you know it's a consumable, but it's a bit of a time bomb ticking away because you don't know exactly how long it's going to last for and then how hard it's going to be to get one and all of that. So we seem to be making ground with that.
Right.
Chris, here's a picture here. If you could tell us about this. Was this your first printer?
No, actually, it wasn't my first one. It was the first one that I attempted to scratch build. So, well, I didn't really even scratch build it. But Tom 3D, and everybody knows Tom. I came up in 3D printing watching Tom's videos. And Tom did, he wanted to do as cheap as possible Prusa clone. And so he just grabbed some wood and cut it out and cut all the pieces out. And he pieced one together for around $200, something like that. So I did the same thing, and this was before I was on YouTube. I did the same thing just to see how it would go, and that's what I came up with. And it's been through so many different iterations, and I used it for a lot of testing, and I still do. But it's gone through upgrades and different boards, and it's had a really long life. But I call it log, and the reason I call it log is because it's big and heavy and wood, like from Ren and Stimpy. But it's gotten kind of famous because it's been on, half of my videos probably to this point. But it's been kind of my pet project, and it's had so much abuse. I feel sorry for it at some point. But sometimes it really needs to get a new frame, and I need to do something better with it. But that's where that came from.
If anyone in chat has a question, please feel free to ask. We'd love to have your comments. We got both the guys here, and now would be a great time to ask anything within reason.
I got to go in about 2 minutes, I'm afraid.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, we'll let you have the floor for 2 minutes. Anything you'd like to talk about, or anything you want to ask Chris? Or Chris
I'd rather hear from Chris than talk myself. What do you got coming up, Chris? What are you passionate about? What are you excited about?
Well, so I follow Marlin firmware pretty closely, and I talk with Scott Latine on semi-regular basis. We go back and forth on Twitter once in a while. They're making great strides. They're adding a lot of features, and as 32-bit has come in, they're still. They're just now holding their own in 32-bit. The 2.0 is out. They're getting a lot of bugs fixed, but there's all kinds of new features in the firmware that I'm really excited to see, especially now that they're working with Creality, and you're seeing these new screen layouts, and they're working on an auto build type plugin for Platform IO. I'm actually pretty excited about all of that. I'm a coding IT nerd at heart, because that's what I do for a living. But I don't have time to code much. But I really enjoy working with the firmware. I'm also pretty excited to see what Clipper's going to do, because they're continuing to do their thing. And Marlin has a feature that does kind of the same thing now as well. They have an offloading process to Raspberry Pi. So I always get excited to see the new features come out.
Yeah, I'll take the chance to echo my appreciation of the Marlin devs. Like what they do is amazing. Just the example configurations, not only for stock printers, but for aftermarket boards now, that you can get a Victory Tech SKR Mini E3 and all the configurations are there. You don't need to change anything yourself. It's the vanilla branch, so everything's going to work. Just amazing.
Absolutely.
And when there are problems, they're fixed so quickly. Like one time they introduced a bug and no Windows machines would compile. And I was halfway through making a video and it was pretty time critical for me. By like half a day, it was all fixed, all patched. So thank you.
Yeah, no, they do a great job. I have to give a shout out to Keith, Keith, the developer on Twitter and other places. That he does great things with those configs, as well as many others. But you always see a lot of great things come out of Keith.
Jerry, I apologize, but I have to run. I'm out of time.
All right.
But thank you so much for having me, and great to meet you, Chris.
It was great. Everybody in chat would love having you here, and I really appreciate it. You have a great day, Michael. Thank you very much.
You too. Thanks very much. See you guys.
See you.
Well, that was cool. Told you I'd surprise you.
yeah. He's one that I've never actually gotten to meet, so that's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, not a problem. We've been friends on Facebook for a long time, and way back when I first started my Facebook group, he was on in posting videos in his early days, and I try to keep in touch with him once in a blue moon. So that was really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, my Hypercube here, I put 60 NeoPixels on the top. I went into Tinkercad, I made some angled brackets, and got a breakout board from Big Tree Tech, came from China, took a month to get it. I ordered 2 of them since it's taken a month to get here, and they're only $3 or $4 a piece. Got everything hooked up, got a power brick to push that many lights. I was going to do a video on it, taped a lot of footage, and it don't work. So I kind of gave up a month ago. So I need to work on it, figure out what I did wrong, edit the video, and make it right. Because for some reason, I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know. They're not lighting up. So it's something.
Those are the projects that I mean. I've had a few of those over the years. One video that I finally did end up getting done, but I had backburnered it several times, was automatic delta bed leveling. I don't know why, but I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but I started that video like 3 times and never got it done. Always something was failing or broken. And I finally got it on a 4th try, but I bet you I tried for 8 months to get that video done while I was doing other videos, right? But yeah, it always seems to be that one project that I never get back to.
Yeah, hello, Jim from EduTech. I'm glad you could join us, Jim. Number 5, question number 5. Didn't you say you used to be a drummer in a band, and do you still practice at all?
Yeah, so I spent I started playing guitar when I was around 3 years old. My dad was a musician, a part-time musician. So we always had a guitar around the house. So I started playing guitar, and I got really into it when I was, 10, 11 or so. And then I started playing the drums. So my brother played, and I was always playing with other folks and stuff when I was a kid. And I started playing the drums when I was around 14 or so, because nobody else played the drums. And there was like an old drum set in the pawn shop or whatever for $200, and we managed to scrape it together. So I started to learn how to play the drums. And then I went on, because somebody always needed a drummer. So then I went on as a drummer in other bands until I was in my mid-20s. And then in 2007, I actually made a record here in the basement, and I played all the parts myself, all the guitars, the bass, the vocal, and everything. And it had some success. I sold some copies. It was available. You could get it at like Target and stuff. So that was kind of cool to go and see that it was there. But that was it. So it just kind of all fell apart. And then I had to take another job, and I started working nights, and I just kind of stopped from there. And then I got, everything catches up with you. You get married, and then I started doing YouTube, and so it's been since about 2009, 10 since I've really done a lot of playing. But I still do enjoy it. I just don't have a lot of free time.
Well, to really build up your upper body, I'm sure, playing the drums.
Absolutely. Yeah, you get some good forearm action there for sure.
And then trying to find somewhere to practice, because the noise level, that's probably another issue in your neighbors or
it was always something. My wife, she was pretty good about it. She put up with all the noise, but it gets to be too much at some points.
Here's a picture here. It's interesting. I'm not sure what you're doing here. We're building something. And
yeah, so that is the very first kit. That was a picture taken of Colin and I building that first kit. And if you see far off, remember my wife is out of town at this point. If you see far off of the kitchen cabinet, there is not a square of space that doesn't have a little bag of parts on it.
yeah,
Because we had 2 complete kits, and there was like over 100 bags of different size screws in each kit. So we had them spread out everywhere. So I always like that picture. I always think it's funny. But that's kind of where it all started.
And here's a picture of my current hobby room, which most people have seen. But if you're new to the stream, here's the room that I'm sitting in. This used to be a living room in my house. I have 2 living rooms basically side by side going through a little threshold. And this is where I'm sitting now. I just built an added table there about 18, 19 inches deep to put my monitors and microphone on. So, and then I got, as you can see, junk everywhere. I print way too much stuff. I need to slow down, which I have, and start making more functional prints. But, and the resin printer is by the blue towels there on the right side. You can't see it in the picture. And then off to the left, I've got a paint station and more stuff stored in the spare room. I've got a few prints here and there. So I've got way too much stuff.
Yeah, you talk about functional prints, and I do a lot of functional prints, actually, but you never see them because I don't wait to use them to make the video. So, like, for example, the Prusa Mini, I still have to review it, but it's been so convenient. I've done a ton of functional prints, but I automatically put them into use. So 50-75% of the test prints that I ran on that machine, you won't even see in the video because I actually used it. So functional prints, you don't see them a lot on my channel, but I do lots and lots of them for many people. So.
Yeah, Paul McDonald, that enclosure is built out of 2x4s, and I went to Lowe's and I bought some 1/4-inch plexiglass to build an enclosure for one of my CR10s that I used to print a lot of ABS on. I do have 6 or 7 rolls of ABS. I don't use it as much, but it's there in case I need to for an enclosure. And I'm starting getting into a lot of PETG lately. And what do we got here? Yeah, he does print too much. He needs to paint more. Yeah, like my wife always says, quit watching TV and start painting. I've got probably 200 things that need to be painted, and and then I keep printing lots and lots to paint. Need to do more videos on painting. Last week I had Matt on from In the Mind of Matt, and he said, Jerry, just set up a webcam, time lapse it, and just start painting stuff and tape everything, and then when you get done, go edit it, and you got a little video there. So yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, good old Matt Snow. I've known him on YouTube, and I've met him in person several times. He's a really good guy.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. That's a picture of my Hypercube I bought from ZYLTECH. It's 400 by 400 by 500 Hypercube Evolution. And that was a lot of fun. It's 30-30 by 30-30 extrusion, and then the bed is 20-20 extrusion. And that was a lot of fun. I took that picture a little bit ago.
Nice.
So you can see where the lights are on the top, where the green is going around. And then I got a little webcam I bought from Home Depot, a Wise Cam, and I put on it, reflash the firmware. It works really good. So that's what I'm currently working on.
Cool. Yeah, Paul McDonald in chat, he just mentioned he bought his first roll of Prusa ASA. I absolutely love Prusa ASA. That stuff prints amazingly well. It does have some of that ABS aroma. I don't think I'd want to be in the same room with it, but it's not near as bad as the cheaper ABS, and the parts just come out great. So I hope you enjoy it as well.
Yeah, your video froze there for a minute, but we were still talking. Everybody in chat, do we sound good? Does the video quality look fine? I was supposed to enable 1080p. Using StreamYard, they improved the quality of the 720p, which I think looks great, but you can try it free for 7 days, go to 1080p, and I was going to do that this morning, and I forgot to check the box because I wanted to stream this in 1080p. So maybe next week I'll do that, because you can try it free for a week just to see the quality difference. See, Jim said, just a tip, Paul, don't you want the whole thing? Okay. Let's see, this picture right here. This is, okay, now on a lot of your videos, occasionally you'll turn the camera around and we catch a clip of what's going on behind the scenes, but I've always wanted to know, everybody always wants to know, how does everybody film and what are they doing behind the scenes? TV studios, everything looks awesome, then behind the scenes, things look totally different. And you have an awesome setup there, but here's behind the scenes right here.
Yeah. So I film things as simple as I possibly can. And most of the footage that you're going to see, maybe outside of some B-roll here and there, it's filmed with a webcam in one way or another. I do film at 1080p, but I use OBS to film everything so that I can flip back and forth.
Yes.
And it turns out pretty well if you have lots of light, and I do have lots of light down here. But the only way I get anything done is if I have the workflow to get it done quickly, because I've got a day job and all kinds of other stuff that I need to get done. So this is the fastest way I can turn out video, and most of the time it turns out halfway decent. So, is
that a 40-inch or 46-inch TV back there, and that's what you watch all your chat on?
Yeah, I did, and that's what I'm looking at right now. I think it's like a 40 or somewhere in there. Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, for the first time, I usually have a YouTube window open, and I'm seeing everything 20 seconds delayed. It's distracted, so I close that completely, and I just have chat open on the second monitor, so I can't see what we're saying or anything. So hopefully everything's going well. Let me go back to comments. Hello, Mike. Never let the machines win. Hello, how you doing? Thank you for coming, Mike. I appreciate it. One of my favorite prints that I've ever done, I'm trying to look through my pictures here. I've showed this on other streams. People have seen this on Facebook, and I've done a video on it. My son wanted to collect Spawn. He's got hundreds and hundreds of little Spawn models and toys. He loves Spawn. And then Tony Chambers over at 3D Model Crowdfund had this commission for him, and I got the STL from him and printed this and painted it. And it's like 7 rolls of PLA. It took a very long time to do this. The cape, I believe I done in ABS, and that took a long time to print and paint. The hardest thing on this whole model was the supports on the chains. Making sure you don't have any supports on the chains, and if you do, it's hard to clean them out. But that's at 250% scale. It's like, I don't know, 39 inches tall. It's a really big Spawn. So
yeah,
it's a pretty cool model.
That looks really good.
And then you can see the little tiny statues in front of it. Those are what a normal little Spawn character looks like. And then over there to the side, I've got a Spawn mask that I got off of Facebook from a man, and I had the eyes light up in green, and that looks pretty good. So
yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
And since my wife has been out of town for 2 months, she's coming back next week. Here's my 2 pals, my 2 girls, and they're keeping me company. Nikita's a black dog. I named her after the show Nikita that I used to love. And the other dog, I named her Sandy. We got her from the pound probably about a month ago, I think. And she's a great little dog. She's part boxer, part terrier, and they're both wonderful dogs. I posted a video clip last week where I'm holding up a cookie in my hand, and they're both kind of going nuts wanting that cookie. And my black one there is trying to talk to me, basically wanting that cookie. So I thought that was pretty funny. Number 6, I wanted to ask you, are you married, and do you have any pets? Because I don't really remember, or no.
Yep. No, I am married. I've been married for a little over 10 years now. I don't have any kids. I have 1 dog currently. His name is Hank. I've had him for 12 years. He's getting up there. He's still pretty mobile, doing good, but we're pretty much inseparable. Anything that I do outside of coming down here, which he does come through here occasionally, you just don't know it. But he doesn't like coming down here so much. But everything else, like even if we're going somewhere, outside of, I have to go to the office, which I haven't done that in a while. But he goes with me, and we just we're buddies, thick and thin. So, and sometimes on the live streams, you will hear him, announce the Amazon guy or the postman or whatever. You'll hear him. He has snuck his way into a couple of videos. If you're a real avid Chris's Basement watcher, you have seen him around. You might just catch a glimpse of him. But I remember filming the original hang printer video. I had it set up in the garage, and every once in a while he would come through to see what I was doing, and he'd clip one of the fishing lines, and then I'd have to start over or something. But yeah, he's a good boy. I don't know what I'd do without him most of the time.
I was concerned about getting the new dog because she wasn't familiar with my hobby room and all the plastic, and dogs love to chew on things. I was really concerned about her knocking things down, et cetera, but I've had no issues. That's been great. She hasn't chewed at none of my boots like past dogs. She hasn't eaten the bushes outside or nothing. So she's been great. She's probably about 3 years old.
Cool. Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Trying to think here. I showed that. We talked about that. Does anybody in chat have any questions you'd like to ask either one of us? We're about 40 minutes in. We got 20 to go, and I'd love people to ask lots of questions.
Sure.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention, the Ender 3 V2 that I just got from Crowley last week, and you got one also, you bought from them. My fan, when I got it running, my fan on the control board was very loud. It's not screamingly loud, but it's not really quiet. The steppers are pretty quiet, but that fan is fairly loud. And I'm thinking about changing it out with a Noctua or something to see if it'll quieten it down.
Yeah. You know, I've had a couple, you know, the fans that come on a lot of those printers are extremely unpredictable, as you probably know. So they could be quiet today and then extremely loud, and then maybe they'll quiet down a bit. Currently the one I have on the V2 isn't as loud as some of the ones I've had on the V1s. So hopefully, you know, I got a decent fan and it holds out, but nothing surprises me with those most of the
time. Luke is asking if you'll be at Earth next year if it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's a Rip Rap festival in the United States and everything, you know, everything's going smooth and they have it, I will be there. So
yes, CES here in January has already been canceled.
Yeah. So Earth, Murph, if they find a surf or whatever Rip Rap festival, I will be at it.
Yeah, I just released a video. I done, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I done 12 prints on the Ender 3 V2 so far, printing one after another. I didn't have to re-level the bed. Usually once it's tight and it's good, you don't have to go back and check it very often, but I've had no problems. That build service they supplied, it's been working great. You know, if the print cools all the way down, you can usually just pick the print up. You can take a spatula or something and tap it, knock it loose. If you're in a hurry and you have to do another print right away, you can scrape it loose or tap it loose. Or if you wait until it's completely cooled down, usually 42°C or below, and then they just slip right off. So it all depends on the temperature and how big of a hurry you're in. But I will upgrade that to a flex sheet with textured PEI textured PEI, textured on one side and PEI another at some point. But I'm going to wait till I wear that out first. I don't want to do it right away. There's no reason to. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So there's no reason to change things unless you have a reason to. And I noticed so many people buy a 3D printer. They get online, get on a Facebook group or Reddit, and they want to change everything and do this and do that. No, build the printer, learn the printer, enjoy the printer, and then down the road, occasionally change things one at a time. Don't do more than one at a time, because if you do a bunch of stuff and something goes wrong, you don't know what you did wrong where. So, anyway, that's my rant for the day.
Yeah, no, I'm super, I'm super active in comments and, you know, people asking questions. I try to get to everybody that asks a question, you know, if they're new or if they're having a specific issue, whatever it might be. But I do get questions about, hey, I just ordered this printer. What modifications should I order to put on it? And don't do that. You know, get the printer, see if you even like it. You know, I mean, you might not even like this hobby, or, you know, if this is your first printer, or it might be just a little bit more difficult than you think. You know, I wouldn't go modding it right out of the gate. That's not this kind of hobby. But some people just don't want to hear that. You know, they want to just, you know, go all in, and I totally get that as well. But yeah, there are a few that have somewhat of a misconception of how this is going to work.
Llama says, no, that's boring, Jerry. Once you get to print it, you have time to fix it. Yeah, tear it down. Depends what you got to do and how bored you are. If you're not printing a ton of junk like I am, then your only option would be to change the printer. Hello, Viking. How you doing, 3D Print Viking? Yeah, I had a guy ask me earlier, a couple of hours ago. He PM'd me and he said, hey, Jerry, I'm getting a new printer. What kind of hot end should I get and put on it? Well, you should leave the hot end alone. All my Creality printers have stock hot ends with stock 0.4 brass nozzles. I've never upgraded the hot end on none of my printers. I haven't had a reason to. If you do glow-in-the-dark filament or a specialty filament, you might need to change the nozzle. But hey, I've never had a reason to change the hot end, so why change it? If it works fine, there's no reason to run out and put this or that on it, spend a lot of money, and then you might have issues. If it works stock, leave it alone. If you're bored and you don't want to print, you have extra money and you want to try something to modify like Llama, go ahead, spend the money, modify, change things. But stock works perfectly fine most of the time.
Yeah. Well, building things, I haven't built a printer not on a live stream in years. All the printer builds have been live. And people in the live stream will tell you, and friends of mine, people that have been coming to my live streams for 3+ years, they will go, don't put that on. That's garbage. You don't want that. And I have to, so it was in the box. They intended for me to use it. So I put it together, and most of the time they're right. I will stand back and go, yeah, that's garbage. We need to change that. But it's just, I'm committed to how this thing plays out, and how it plays out. I still have to go that same road, just to prove the method. So.
I have a couple regular enders. They print fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Then the Pro came out, which had the Meanwhile power supply, which is a little bit better on the power supply. It's a great printer. This new one came out. It's got some extra bells and whistles, a 32-bit board. It's a cool little printer for the price. But if you're on a budget and you can't afford it, then buy one of the other enders. But it's a great little printer. All three of them are great. And I just done a video I released. That's why I printed all these things. I've used Simplified 3D now for about 3.5 years. I've never tried Cura. I downloaded it. I've never tinkered with it. Why, if I'm printing great, spending money on filament, should I try something new and screw it up and have to relearn the software? But I figured, you know what? On this printer, let's pretend I'm a new person. I installed Cura's Creality Slicer, which is a version of Cura. I changed nothing other than the size of the print or the infill, and all these prints have been coming out great. I mean, like Thor's hammer here, they call it Quake. But the print quality is great on this. I have no layer line issues. There's nothing. This thing printed completely perfect. So if you're new to 3D printing and you get one of these printers, right out of the box, you can print perfect. Like this FlexiCAD here. That's some PETG. It had no brim, no supports, no stringing. This is from ZYLTECH. It's yellow PETG. Now, usually PETG does string, depending on the brand and the color. Some string more than others, but this printed great. So... anything you want to add to that, or?
No, I mean, I agree. Just by my limited experience with the machine, the V1s. There's been a few machines over the years that I've always just said, well, just buy one, because you're not going to get it any cheaper. Even if you don't build it as a printer and you're a 3D printer enthusiast, you can make it into something pretty cool because all the things are there. And you couldn't get it for that price if you piecemealed it out, right? You couldn't buy all the individuals that you kit this kit. So the Ender 3 V1, just buy one. If you want to check out a cheap printer that works well, that's kind of the standard at this moment. But the V2, it looks really good, and it solves a few of the things that were always really irritating about the V1, like the cables being loose in the back. You can't pick it up and then go set it down without setting it on the cables, or
yes.
You got to keep your management just right so it doesn't, because they solved that. I like that they've moved the power supply underneath. That seemed like a no-brainer to me all this time, right? Just slide it under there. So just a few things, and the drawer fits 5 benchies, so that's a plus. And but just a few other things that have made it look really good. I don't know about the difference in print quality yet. I really haven't studied it, but I like the direction they're going in, and it's not that much more expensive, and it does look quite a bit better.
No, that's right, Luke. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's very hot, very dry here. I don't have a humidity problem. Of course, there is humidity everywhere, some worse than others. But I've tried ZYLTECH Black. I bought their giant Texas-sized spool, and with a lot of my prints were really stringy. This new yellow they came out with that minor string, so I think it's either they done something different or it's the color. I'm not really sure. But when I first got into printing, I bought a lot of Hatchblocks. The same thing before my CR10 first came. Whenever they first came out, it was like 6 months later that I got into 3D printing, and I bought a ton of colors, like $25 a roll. And some colors print better than others, in my opinion, with different brands. Or if a company has a bad batch, and you have problems with it breaking, or clogging, getting stuck in your filament extruder. That's happened to me quite a bit, and I believe in having a filament runout center is what I meant to say on all printers, because if you have a 5-hour print or a 4-day print and you go to work, go to sleep, whenever it runs out of filament, it's going to pause the print. It's going to sit there and the metal stay hot, and it'll wait on you however many days it takes to put it back in within a reasonable amount of time. I've never let one go over a day, but load it up and keep printing. So filament runout sensors are a must. And these printing companies, for the price, they can't put every bell and whistle on a printer for the price. And no matter what you do to the printer, there's always going to be somebody that said, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? People, that's their nature. They have to complain and say something. You give somebody $1,000, they'll ask, why didn't you give them $2,000? I mean, that's just kind of the way people are.
That's true.
And I'd like to give a shout out to the makerguide.club. It's a new site that some people started where people that are going live, they can post their bios. They can post links to their videos when they're going by. It's a great little site. It's up and coming. They're still working on it. They don't have any pictures there yet, but I was able to post I uploaded my information there for this video today. Zolan has a show every week that he's been doing that's listed there also. Zolan Shop of Wonders. He had posted on the screen, that's why I remembered it. And it's a cool place, the makersguide.club. And I'd like to give a shout out to Dan, DB3D Dan. He does local hangouts every week. Justin T has been doing a lot of hangouts. Jim has a great channel, the Edge of Tech. Support all your streamers that are out there, everybody. Whenever you go into it, when you hit the like button or give them a thumbs up, that's kind of like saying thank you for the stream. Everybody appreciated it. We love comments from people. We love answering your comments. That's why we're here, and that's why we stream. We want to engage with the community, try to help you out. And by us being here trying to help you out, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that when we go live or stream again, you're aware of it. And, leave comments. We all love comments. Give us all a thumbs up. If you don't like what we're saying, give us a thumbs down. But hopefully that doesn't happen. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of people streaming. Mr. Buttram is on a Friday, usually I believe on a Friday or Saturday night hangout. A lot of people have different hangouts, so you can search 3D printing. You can ask any of us if you don't know where to go, and we can try to help you find information. There's a lot of cool information out there, a lot of cool shows. Always somebody streaming or doing a hangout talking about 3D printing or just anything and everything. I've got my site on my group on Facebook. It's about 3D. Somebody asked me today, what else can I post other than 3D printing? I said, well, you post CNC stuff, resin printing, painting, anything that has to do with making 3D printing type stuff is welcome on my channel. So,
yeah,
Tanner 3D. Hello, Tanner.
Tanner is also originally from Kansas City. So fun fact. Dan mentioned a while back in chat, I saw it just scroll by, if I would be joining any more community hangouts. And I do try to join some. There's always something going on for me, it seems like. But and Jerry can attest to this. It was a year ago since it's taken me a year to get on this stream. So I do what I can. I try to join, a couple here and there, but there's always a lot of streams going on, that's for sure. And
3D Print Llama, Tom, he has streams constantly early in the morning. Usually I'm not out of bed. I'm retired, so I don't get up real early usually, and he always had streams going. Like I say, there's a zillion people that are online every week. Great content. We're all here for you guys. We want to interact with the chat. And, sometimes people get busy on a hangout and they sometimes ignore chat a little bit. They don't mean to do that. They just get wrapped up in talking to each other on the stream. But it's, we love having everybody. It's a great community.
Yeah, and Tom posted that there, but I've known Tom for a long time, and it just seems like Tom's schedule lines up with mine sometimes more than other people's do, and I enjoy giving him a hard time as he does enjoy giving me a hard time. So I do end up on Tom's stream a lot, but he always has a lot of different people on his streams too, so it's fun to hang out with random folks. Mike at Never Let the Machines Win posted that he was going to do a Mark II to 2.5 upgrade and a bear so I would 2.5 you get filament sensor, but you're going to stay the same voltage. You do get a switchable bed. I would probably just disassemble your Mark II altogether and start with the bare build. I don't think I'd try to upgrade or anything. I think I'd just start from scratch and try to build the bear. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, whenever. Sorry.
No, that's also correct. I have streams as well that I have to do. So there's a lot of streaming.
Yeah, everybody in chat, whenever you go to watch any stream or you're on your phone or you're on TV, give them a thumbs up. Everybody that needs the support, it helps out the channel. The way YouTube algorithms work, comments and thumbs up, it all matters and it helps out the streamers. So the more thumbs up you give them, even if you're there for 2 seconds, and you thought, well, that was pretty cool, give them a thumbs up. It means a lot. It's like saying thank you for, whatever I watch. I appreciate what you did. So always give people thumbs ups, and whenever Absolutely. You can comment, people love having comments.
And I always appreciate people in the chat that remind others to give thumbs up, because I need that reminder as well. Sometimes I will pop into a stream and say, hey, and I forget the thumbs up, but the folks that do remind me, that I always go hit it at that point. So I appreciate those folks as well. Some of the people that are moderators in my stream and in other streams are the best. There are some really good, and it seems kind of funny to say that you're a good YouTube moderator, but there are good YouTube moderators that they do a really good job at handling things like that. So I always appreciate that.
Yeah, Llama wants to see the Penchy Bez again. Yeah, he showed that earlier, Llama. If you could grab that and show it again on full screen.
Yeah, it's right here. It's not going to be too far from my desk, I swear. It's right there. It made it safe and sound. I still have some Pez in it, but I have been eating it. So I might have to buy some more Pez.
Yeah, you done a great job on that, Llama. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's the perfect color. He knows that I like the retina burning orange color. So that's one of my favorite ones.
See what we got in comments here. Benchy Pez. Can I see the comments on Facebook? I haven't seen any comments on Facebook. Everything here I'm seeing is from YouTube. I'm streaming on Facebook on 2 groups, but I don't know what happened. Everything I'm seeing is none of them are from Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook, there's a thing you click there to allow Facebook to share information, and I don't know. I'll have to look at it after the fact. But if you're watching on Facebook, thank you very much. I appreciate it. But all the comments on screen are from YouTube. Anyway, what do we got here? 4:57. We started about a minute early. Well, yeah, it's getting close to being done. But like, I just want to thank everybody for coming. And like I say, please like and subscribe the video, share it. Every week, I'm going to try to have more interesting people on. I've got 2 people coming up that I've spoke with. One of them hasn't got back with me, but another person might be on my stream here at the end of the month. So we'll see how that goes. I want to have different regular makers. I want to have great people like Chris on, and I want to have the guy that just bought the printer that has some cool stuff he wants to show off, and have multiple people on different weeks. We'll have to work out the schedule with everybody. But yeah, I'm going to continue doing this weekly now. I did last year for a while. Then I had a lot of health issues, so I quit streaming weekly. But now I'm back, and I plan on, I'm paying for StreamYard now. I want to stream every week, have awesome people on. We try to help answer questions and help everybody out. And, not really sure where to go with that, but just do what we can do. And I'm retired here in Vegas. I'm on a fixed income, so the more likes and subscribes I get, eventually I'll make $1 off YouTube, and that'll help out my hobby. So, and in the description below, there's links where you can save money. There's ways you can help out the channel. If you look in the description, there's all kinds of information. There's different links: TH3D Studio, Creality 3T, ZYLTECH. Just multiple ways you can help out the channel or save yourself some money. So please check them out. There's a link to Chris's basement down there. After the stream post in a little bit, I will have Teaching Tech on there. I'll put a link to Teaching Tech. Michael Laws. I don't have that there now because I want it to be a surprise. And I did tell Chris right when he came on that we have somebody coming on, but I'm not going to tell you who. He really likes you. You really like him. I want it to be a surprise, and that worked out really good. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I was trying to think of somebody that had never met me, but yeah, that's one that I've never had the opportunity. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I had PM'd him, and I told him about the stream if he could make it possibly, and then he mentioned about he's always wanted to talk to you, but he's never done so. So I said, hey, that'd be awesome. I'll send you a link, And if you're able, the time difference will work out. He says, well, I got to be somewhere, but I can probably stop in for about 10 minutes. So I thought that was awesome, and he was able to stop in.
That's cool.
So, still getting used to everything here on my computer. But let's see, 4:59. It's about 5 o'clock. Well, stick around for a minute, Chris. I want to chat with you. But everybody that's out there that's watching this video now, thank you for coming very much. It's been awesome having you here. Thank you for supporting us. Go to Chris's channel, subscribe. Go to Jim at the Edge of Tech. Anybody that has to do with any kind of 3D printing, like and subscribe to their channel. And, you know, everybody would love to have you. And thank you, everybody. And everybody have a great night.